Welcome to virtual 9th grade class. It is English math class with Mr. Marvin.
Alright, welcome to the first level of your algebra unit, and in this video we're going to be going over what is called one-step equations because they require one step to get to the solution. So to start off, let's do a quick recap of what algebra is all about and the process involved in solving an equation. So the first thing you need to remember is when you're asked to solve an equation, what that means is to find the value, or the number value, of the variable in the equation, usually x, which will make that equation true. Okay, so for example, if we had the equation x plus 2 equals 4, to solve this equation, we need to find out what the numerical value of our variable is in order to make something plus 2 equal 4. So obviously that would just be 2 because we know 2 plus 2 equals 4. So that's what it means to solve an equation. Now, the next important thing to remember is when you are trying to solve an equation, especially one that's a bit more complicated, there's an important process involved that involves isolating the variable. Isolating the variable. And to isolate something means to make it alone on one side of the equation. And the two sides of an equation are separated by an equal sign. So you've got your left side here, and then this is your right side. Now, to actually isolate a variable, the trick is to do the opposite of what's happening around it. For example, the opposite of adding is, subtracting. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. And the opposite of positive is negative. So with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and try some example questions here. Let's go up here. Whoa, too far. Okay. Let's start off simple. Let's say we've got an equation x plus 10 equals 7. So here is our variable x. So we're going to isolate it by doing the opposite of what's happening around it. So right now 10 is being added to it. So the opposite of that would be to subtract 10. Oh, and I forgot to mention the other important rule with algebra is equality. We always do the same thing to both sides of the equation. So we've got our left side over here, and this would be our right side over here. So if we are subtracting 10 from the left side, we're going to do the same thing to the right side. Now this plus 10 and minus 10 cancel out, and you're left with x equals 7 minus 10, which is negative 3. So that would be our solution for that equation. And then you can also quickly check your answer. If we replace x in the original equation with negative 3, you would get negative 3 plus 10. And if you figure that out, you see that you do get an answer of 7, so we know we calculated that right. Okay, next let's try one that involves some subtraction. Alright. Whoa. Okay, how about x minus 6 equals negative 11? Okay, so our variable x has a -6 next to it, so the opposite of that would be to add 6. So I'm going to add 6 below here, and again we need to keep it equal, so I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'll add 6 over here. Okay, so these two are going to cancel out, and we're left with x equals -11 plus 6, which is -5. And it's also, again, a good idea to double check our answer. So let's just think if I replace x up here with -5, I would get -5 minus 6. And we got to check, does that get us an answer of -11? Yes, it does. So we know we've done it correctly. Okay, now let's try a couple questions that involve multiplication. Okay, how about, oh, well, before we get into multiplication, let's remember our two very important rules when working with integers. One is that when you are multiplying two integers that have the same sign, meaning they're either both positive or both negative, that means you're going to get an answer that is positive. Okay, and if the two numbers are different, if they have different signs, that means you would get a negative answer. For example, if you multiplied a positive and a negative number together. Okay, and that's the same case with division, by the way. So let's try a couple examples. How about 16 equals -4x. Alright, so this time we've got our variable on the right side of the equation, which is totally fine. So this is a -4 being multiplied by an x. So the opposite of multiplying is division. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this by -4 to get rid of that -4. And then I'll do the same thing to this side. Now these will cancel out, and we'll be left with x equals 16 divided by -4. Now I know that 16 divided by 4 is 4, and since we're dividing a positive by a negative, those are different signs, so our answer will be negative. So x would be -4 in this case. And again, we can double check. If I replace x up here with a -4, our equation would be -4 times -4, which is indeed positive 16. So we know we've got the right answer. Let's go down here. Okay, how about, let's do -7x equals -49. So I've got a -7 here being multiplied by x. The opposite again of multiplying is division, so I'm going to divide this by, let me change the color here. Let's divide this by -7, so that cancels out, and then we'll do the same thing to this side. So we're left with x equals -49 divided by -7, which would get us positive 7 because they're both the same sign. Alright, almost done. Let's try a division question here. Let's move up here. Okay. So let's say we've got x divided by 11 equals -9. And don't forget, just a friendly reminder, that fraction is the same thing as division. So don't forget that. Okay, so this is saying something divided by 11 equals -9. So let's think, what's the opposite of dividing by 11? It would be to multiply by 11. So I'm going to times this by 11. Those cancel out. Do the same thing here. And we'd get x equals -9 times 11, which is -99. And I think that about covers it. So when you're ready to challenge this level, go ahead and let me know. And yeah, good luck. Thanks.